look at it and go, I don't dare touch anything. I don't dare touch anything. Wow. So most of you know that for this whole year we're exploring our organization's vision, which is creating a world that works for everyone. There was a whole team of ministers got together to put this together for a very simple reason. We want to transform the world. We want to transform the world by transforming consciousness. We want every single person in every single center for spiritual living, anywhere around the world, everywhere around the world, to know their own magnificence, to know their own essentiality to the universe, to know that they live in and from spiritual power. We want every single center to become a beacon to people everywhere, so that there's a place that provides hope when things look sketchy, that there's a place that provides support when things feel shaky in our lives, to provide light always. And the light isn't the light of, here we know the answer. The light is the path. You know, we will shine our light to help you find your steps on the path. We want to change the world. We want to awaken everyone to their spiritual magnificence, to that perfection that Marge spoke about, that lives at the core of your being, so that you live powerful lives, awakening others to their magnificence simply by being who you are. So today I want to explore something that's really basic to the vision and to our whole understanding of us and our place in the universe. And that is that there is this thing called life with a capital L, that some people call God, and some people call it the absolute, some call it consciousness, some call it the evolutionary impulse, some call it Sophia or Brahman or Buddha nature. It goes by a million names. So whatever name you give it, it's all really talking about the same thing. Whatever way you identify that works for you, there's a truth that the mystics have spoken about the world over. As above, so below. The innermost, the highest God and the innermost God is one God, said Ernest Holmes, our founder. From the Upanishads, there is a spirit which is pure and beyond old age and death and beyond hunger and thirst and sorrow. This is Atman, the spirit in man. This is the heart of mysticism, and it's the foundation of our philosophy. We are spiritual and not religious, but we're also mystical, and we're also mystical. And to try to bring what the mystics have taught into our daily living is really, I think, the thrust of our teaching. There's a modern Sufi mystic that I adore. His name is Llewellyn Vaughan Lee, and he said, he was trying to distinguish between spirituality and mysticism. He said the spiritual journey can be most simply described as a way to access the light of our soul, the beautiful light with which we came into the world, the spirit that is within each one of us. Through this relationship, he says, we come to know our true self and be nourished by the deeper meaning of our soul. The mystical journey may begin with making a relationship with one's inner light. But the mystic is drawn to a deeper journey towards love's greatest secret, that within the heart we are one with the divine. And that idea that we are one with the divine became the starting point, I think, for Ernest Holmes when he was looking across the world at all of the religious traditions, particularly the mystic side of them, and trying to figure out what it meant and how it could become practical and applied in our lives. Ernest Holmes wrote, there is a universal mind, spirit, intelligence that is the origin of everything, first cause. This universal life and energy finds an outlet in and through all that is energized, through everything that lives. This energy is in everything. This is the meaning of that mystical saying, in him we live and move and have our being. But it's everything that's energized. That means everything, because even grains of sand are energized, right? Everything. The spaces between molecules or atoms in a molecule are energized. In another little book that he wrote, it's actually very early on in his life, Dr. Holmes said, there is something right within you and within me that is awaiting expression. And what we must learn to do is get out of the way and let it express itself. Withdraw to ourselves, receive and distribute this spirit, which is the essence of mysticism. We receive and distribute spirit. That which is within ourselves is the same intelligence and causal power that created everything that exists. It's the same power and wisdom that holds each planet just the right distance away from its sun to create what it is. Hey, here on Earth, it's created us, right? How amazing. On other planets, in some places, it has created a hot and strange environment where things are happening that maybe we don't understand, but yet that planet is right where it needs to be for those conditions. And something holds it there. Something holds it there. That same presence that enlivens and energizes everything is the same thing that's living in and as and through us. We receive it and distribute it, which is the deepest secret of our relationship with the universe, right? That we're one with it. We are the universe and the universe is us. We are the universe and the universe is us. When we feel that truth, not just think about it, but feel it, then we've entered the territory of the mystic. When we begin to feel in our hearts that we are one with the entire universe. I think the aim of our philosophy could be called practical mysticism. It's a way of developing the inner attitudes that let us live from an open heart, always, no matter what. It's a way of developing attitudes that let us live from connection rather than separation, from love rather than fear, from spiritual power rather than temporal control, so that we're mystics in the world, in everything that we do. When we live from that sense of oneness, a felt oneness with existence, then it's easier to get out of the way and let it express itself, as Ernest Holmes said. Because what we're getting out of the way, it's the baggage and the fear and the not enough and the resistance and all that stuff. And that's the ultimate freedom, isn't it? To just say, okay, all that stuff is part of the human experience. I'm going to move it to one side and allow whatever this thing is to express itself as me. That's freedom. And one thing that what often gets overlooked, when we think of mysticism, we think of sitting in a cave for 3 years, or fasting, or whatever it is. But mysticism includes all life, including the outer world, very much involved in meeting the demands of daily life. There was a mystic poet named Rabia who wrote about peeling potatoes. That was her mystical flight. She said, I tried at washing dishes, but it just didn't work. It's better peeling potatoes for me. Teresa of Avila, one of the Christian tradition's greatest mystics, founded many, many, many convents based on her new order. And at the same time, she was moving ever deeper into mystical union. Mysticism doesn't mean to retire from life, but to live a unitive life, a life of unity with all that exists. Teresa would say, God lives among the pots and pans too. It's nowhere we go that we don't bring that sense of unity with all that exists. And our spiritual practices help us do that. They open the eye of the heart a little bit. And when the eye of the heart is open just a little bit, then we start to see glimmers of the divine nature of everything. You know, a little glimmer here and a glimpse over there. We start to see everything as an expression and a manifestation of the one that includes us. And that realization somehow frees us from a lot of the baggage we're carrying about fear and inadequacy and unknowing and all those things that we humans have trouble with. You know, if we're not going to do it unless we can do it perfectly, which means we never do it, right? Or we're not going to say it unless we know it, and this part of us, this head part of us, is never sure that it really knows it, so it never says it. All that stuff. One of the things that I think helps a great deal is to make a decision and set an intention. And the intention is to, I think in his book, The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer says, there is never a good reason to close the heart. So we make an intention to live an open-hearted life, a heart-centered life rather than a head-centered life. And we set an intention to try to see the divine everywhere, try to see the life of the universe everywhere, in every person, in every plant, in every animal, in every rock, in every grain of sand, in the clouds in the sky, in everything. We start to look for it. And you know what happens when we start to look? We see, right? Once we set that intention, we start to see it everywhere. That's really the way our minds work. It's not that we'll believe it when we see it. We will see it when we believe it. Once that intention is set and we begin to see this indwelling reality everywhere, we want to lean into it a little bit more. We start to become guided by it. We get willing to be guided by it. And I'm not talking about that cliched approach of what would Jesus do, or what would Ernie do, or what would Emma do, anything like that. What I'm talking about is being willing to live the heart-centered life, being willing to pause and listen and be guided from the love that's within us. And maybe the very first thing that we start to know when we turn our eyes, and the eyes of the heart most especially, towards the territory of the mystic, is that we are never judged. We are never held accountable for things that we hold against ourselves, so to speak. That we're never judged, and that we're only loved. We're only loved. That there's nothing to forgive, there's nothing to earn, there's only love. That's the higher power I know and believe in. That there is no scorekeeping, and there is no withholding, and there is no judgment. There is only the God of love. There is only that pours out life through us. Not just to us, but through us. And that, if we allow ourselves to embrace that as the essence of our being, something happens that Ralph Waldo Emerson talks about it. He says that erases, does away with the scars of our mistakes and disappointments. I love that. It just wipes them out. It reminds us, when we know that in every minute of our lives we're right where we're supposed to be. That the past has led us to this point, which is our springboard for the next step into the future. It's all good. Those steps are all good. That there's nothing ever, ever, ever that we've done that is awaiting forgiveness, except by us, but certainly not by the universe, not by God, not by Spirit. That we are completely and totally beloved. That there's nothing to do but say yes. There's nothing to do but say yes to this presence of love within us. Ernest Holmes put it this way. He said, God is always God. God is always God. Not Tuesday, God's crabby. It's simply that God is what God is. God is the eternal fountain of God, of love and life. No matter what our emotional storm, he said, or our objective situation may be, there is always a something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is that eternal voice, forever whispering in our ear, that which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings. And what I know about it is it sings whatever we need. It will sing to us a song of love when we need it. It will sing to us a lullaby of comfort when we need it. It will give us a stirring song of action when we need it. It will whisper a song to us of deep peace when we need it. There is something in us that reminds us of who we really are. That we are the place this eternal one shows up. It's the place that makes itself known and knows itself. We are self-reflective consciousness. As far as we know, that we're the only ones, although I'm beginning to doubt that with what we're finding out about animals. So this one knows itself the way we know it in us. Wow. This eternal voice that is always singing will remind us that we're never without power, that we're never without love, that we're never without support, that we are the universe and the universe is us. And so when we can learn to lean into that a little bit, to lean into that interior power and comfort and support, then the next step in the outer world becomes clear. Whatever it is, and we take that next step from the heart, not merely the head or the neuroses or the ego or the hang-ups, but from the heart. And of course, we always have to begin with ourselves, which is why I said we wanted to change the world by changing individual minds. That's the only way anything ever changes. The reason we have certain conditions in the world is because we've agreed to them. So when we change our minds about those things, the outer begins to change as well. We begin by spending time with our consciousness pointed inward instead of outward. It's that simple. That's what meditation really is. That's what introspection certainly is we point our consciousness within instead of out there. Look, a squirrel. There it goes again. I do that so many times during the day, even when I'm supposedly pointing my awareness within. My inner squirrels will drag me off. So I just have to keep coming back to it and back to it and back to it and back to it and back to it. We point the awareness towards the heart rather than the head. And we begin by understanding that no matter what the ego thinks about us and tries to tell us about ourselves, we are loved without condition. That is the one thing that I absolutely know. We are loved without condition. And we begin by understanding that what's going on out here is caused by what's going on in here. This is the cause. That's the effect. Yogi Bhajan, who introduced Kundalini yoga to the West, said the highest achievement in human consciousness is the extent to which you believe in your own being. The extent to which you believe in your own being. And he wasn't talking about the ego being. He was talking about this infinite life that lives within us. The highest achievement in human consciousness is the extent to which you believe in your own being. So I want to wrap up today with a meditation, maybe 8 or 9 minutes of meditation, to help us go there, to help us go into that interior space. So just gently close your eyes and let yourself be for a moment. Sitting on your chair, letting gravity, a mysterious invisible force, keep you there, hold you up. Feel how supported you are. There's nothing to do. There's only to be right there in your chair, relaxed, breathing, heart beating, gravity supporting you. And as you breathe in, focus your attention, your awareness right at the center of your being. And for right now, let that center be somewhere close to behind your navel, your solar plexus. Just put your attention there. And as you breathe, let your muscles relax. Let any tension in your head or neck or shoulders just drain down towards the bottoms of your feet. And let any tension in your hips or legs or feet just drain out into the earth. Relax your hands and your face and your scalp. There's nothing for you to do. Just be supported. And in your mind's eye, imagine you are sitting on the top of a very high mountain. The view is breathtaking. There too, the ground supports you. The sun is brilliant. The sky is blue. The air is clear. It feels so good just to breathe it. The temperature is perfect. Not too warm, not too cool. Perfect. And imagine that you sense approaching you a being of light. That's what you notice, the luminosity. Soon it's standing there beside you, admiring the view, breathing the air. This being puts a hand on your shoulder. And what you feel is warmth. And that warmth spreads through your whole being. It enlivens every cell of your body. And you feel love. Love for all that you are. For every part of yourself. The only thing that comes from this being of light is love. The tender parts of you are held tenderly in warmth and love. The toughened parts of you are softened with warmth and love. The growing parts of you are quickened with warmth and love. You feel enlivening energy from this touch. It spreads through your body. And at the same time, you feel a deep, deep peace and contentment. All these gifts this being brings to you simply by touching your shoulder. And you understand suddenly that this warmth and love and energy and peace and contentment is always there. It's just that sometimes your attention is directed elsewhere. You understand very deeply that this luminous being is you etched in light. It is you etched in luminosity. It is you etched in love. So as you turn toward it, it turns toward you, and the two of you simply merge. And now the warmth and love and energy and peace and contentment fill up every part of you, from the bottoms of your feet to the top of your head. And along with these qualities, there is a sense of power, the great power to walk through life with an open heart. The source of this power is you. The basis of this power is your knowing that you are connected to everything. It is a power far greater than anything we encounter in the outer world. It flows through us. It speaks and acts as us. And so just rest for a moment in this state of power and love, comfort and contentment, energy and peace. Feel yourself held and holding. Feel yourself loved and loving. Empowered and empowering. At peace, in peace, as peace. This is the innermost God. This is the outermost God. They're the same. And it is what you are. And therefore I know that this innermost God permeates all that you do, all that you say, all that you think. It brings power to your step, power to your thought, power to your word. It brings health and well-being, abundance and vitality, joy and peace to your life. It opens your heart wider and wider and wider, so that you see the luminous nature of all creation. For that which lives within you lives within everything, every star, every leaf, every rock,